The end of the year is always a busy time in sports. The World Juniors are on, and the Habs are on their traditional Florida trip. Joining us to discuss is Meeker Guerrier. Now, Meeker, if you tuned into the third period last night, you were in luck when the Habs came back to force overtime and a shootout. So where do you think this team is nearly halfway through the season, and especially with goaltending, because we have the return of Sam Montembeault tomorrow?
Well, a lot of people were worried with the November month that the Habs had, but December was a lot better, and the Habs are back on track. They don't have a bad record. Actually, they have a better record this year than they had last year, so that's pretty positive, and I think we should emphasize a little bit more on that. The Canadians are third in the Atlantic Conference division right now. So they're sitting in the third place, which means if the playoffs started today, they would be in the playoffs. But then you have to look at the rest of the standings, and it's pretty tight. But the Habs yesterday with that overtime or that shootout loss, they did pretty well because they were trailing by 3 goals in the third period. And what I will remember from that is the last face-off when the Canadians were able to tie the game with a few seconds left. Who was it, the face-off circle? It was Philippe Danault. And remember why the Habs got him last week? It's because of his prowess on the face-offs and defensively also. So that's one thing that's very positive. And to see Samuel Montembeault come back, he's going to play tomorrow against the Panthers in Florida. It's a team that put him on waivers. That's how he ended up with the Montreal Canadiens in the first place. So I think it's good motivation for him. We see him here working with Marciano, with the Rocket goaltending coach. So that's good for him. He spent a few days there, and I think it'll be a good indicator of what's going to happen in the future with the 3 goaltenders.
All right, well, from one version of the Canadians to another, hasn't been a cakewalk for Canada early on at the World Juniors. How concerned are you about Team Canada at the Juniors tournament?
I'd say I'm a little concerned, especially against Latvia. They won thanks to Michael Hage, who is a prospect for the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of people see him as maybe be the future second center for that team. Other people see him as a winger. But the important thing is that he was able to help Canada win that game against Latvia. Remember last year they lost against Latvia. The first game wasn't easy either. They didn't start off well the tournament. They're playing against Denmark tonight. So they need to show maybe a little less arrogance and be more efficient. Instead of trying to make the plays by themselves or being a little too fancy, they need to be efficient and win that game tonight and show that, yes, they're better than the 5th place they had in the previous last 2 tournaments.
All right, well, worth noting the low attendance at the World Juniors, with many Canadians not making the trip to the U.S. this year. But there was a good crowd at the Bell Centre for the Montreal Victoire over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Over 80,000 people to see La Victoire play. Unfortunately, they lost against Toronto, but it's always great to see that many people at the Bell Centre, to see that team and to see how the market has adopted that team. And during Christmas, I know she's not listening to us, but we gave my daughter a Victoire jersey. We told her that she was going to see a game. She started playing hockey this year, and I can see the difference. She ran into Marie-Philippe Poulin a little earlier this year. You can actually see that on my social media. And the reaction was simply crazy. And I have a daughter. I'm in sports, and I didn't see and I didn't feel how much it made a difference for little girls, but also for little boys to see a team here in Montreal in the PWHL. So it does make a difference. It does make a difference for the sports, for the youth, but also for women who can actually live now with their professional sport. They can actually make a living off that. So I think it's important to underline that and to celebrate the sport. 2025 was great for women's sports, and I think it'll be greater even for 2026.
Yeah, I was going to give my niece a Derek Gregg jersey. Obviously, same last name, no relation though, but it's a good gift. All right, Meeker, we'll have to leave it there. We're out of time, but thank you so much, and another exciting year of sports coming up in 2026.
Yes, talk to you soon. Happy holidays.